our biggest company meeting ever.
Well, all I know is that we have lots to be grateful for.
Yes, we do.
We do.
Yes, we do.
Lots. And we need to stay in that mode.
That's right.
Good morning, everybody. It's Laura.
Good morning, Laura.
So they're going to give us a 40% discount on.
Oh. Whoops, that was Susan. Andy looks like she's ready for a party.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Who was that?
Neil.
Oh, hi,
Hi, Amy.
Neil. How are you?
Good. Good. Crying baby in the background, but everything's good.
I know. It's a lot of family time.
Trying to keep the kids busy.
Exactly. I was saying there's they had on the news this morning a lot of companies doing free apps, you know, for great things, story time and just interactive things with the kids. So I think there's a lot of stuff online people might be able to find if you've got small kids at home.
Home screen. So like when you animate into the home screen, we were going to put like a dim and make the recommendation pop.
Susan, I was saying this could be our record-breaking office meeting for attendance. Oh, you're on mute. Susan.
So I'm only getting about 5 pictures. All the rest are blank. Will that fill in here, Brandon? Just logistically, so we're all on this and it's working?
Yeah, they're all on here listening. Just a lot of people don't want to be on video right now.
Yeah. So if they,
Oh, I get it. Okay.
yeah.
Get out of your pajamas, you guys. Come on.
Brandon, can you see me? This is Kim.
I can, yes.
Yes.
How's it going?
Hey,
I can
Kim.
see Danielle. Danielle's
Hi,
still going to yoga.
Hi. Okay.
Hi, Amy. Hi, Susan.
Hey, guys.
Brandon. Good
Hey.
morning.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Ed. We're going to give it a few minutes until everybody's on. So if you want to chit chat, and then we'll get started in about, what, 2 or 3 minutes, probably, Amy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. I don't have any images because I don't want you to see me now.
That's okay. That's okay. You know, one of the things we were actually kind of talking about is, you know, because it's an off time and obviously none of us have been through this, but it's important to keep our regular routines going, you know, and Brandon, actually, he was the one a couple days ago. He was talking to his team, the marketing team, and saying it's important, even though you're working remotely, you know, make your bed, get dressed, take a shower, and be ready for work, you know, even in that mode, even though it may be different. So I think that keeps you, you know, in a positive mode you know, working on different things now, obviously, than maybe you would have. So anyway, we're not going to get into that too much now, but.
And I was also going to say, even if you're just, you know, during the normal work hours doing something, whether it's organizing your file, your emails, or getting something prepared, or researching, doing something to just better yourself through that time.
Exactly.
I actually, while we're waiting, I want to show you guys one thing real quick that I thought was very interesting. So, back in 1665, they shut down everything, and Isaac Newton, at that time, he went home, and during his break, he developed calculus. So the idea is just, you know, what are you doing during this break to develop something or better yourself?
Oh.
Wow. Well, that's inspiring.
Yeah.
Why don't we get started officially? if everybody's kind of ready. If first time we're kind of all doing this, hopefully everybody's all dialed in. Thanks for being on the call. So we're going to take about 30 minutes, and then if there's questions, we're happy to go longer. We would like people to participate, especially when we're sort of brainstorming ideas on work right now. But we really wanted, Brandon and Amy and Tom and I all had a Zoom call meeting this morning. And, our first thoughts, of course, is everyone being healthy and working together at this time. We are all great problem solvers. That's really what our job is, all of us, problem solving. So whether it's for ourselves or our clients, our families, our friends, it's a time to kind of try to figure things out. And that's what we're doing here. I mean, even since yesterday, the rules have changed and they'll probably continue to change. So we're here for you. I think you should use us as a community, not only for your resource for real estate, but also, on a personal level. If you guys need anything, we'll collectively all figure it out. I've always said collectively we're all brilliant. We don't have all the answers ourselves, but collectively we do. And so we just wanted to share that with you guys to start, to know that everybody's, trying to deal with their own stuff, whether it's trying to work from home, have spouses that might not have jobs at the time, have kids home, family in isolation in different places. And so right now, every day I'm waking up and it's all those little things I'm grateful for. And I hope you're all doing that too, to keep your head in the right place. We've actually been saying prayers at dinner, and the first thing we're thankful for is none of us have the coronavirus right now, which is just really great every day. Wow. And for the business we do have, and it will open up. This will not last forever. This is going to change, and we're all going to get through this together, and we'll probably be stronger by it. And I think we're going to go through some ways that we can do that today. Amy Green.
Oh, okay. Good morning, everybody. So there's been obviously a lot of questions and so forth. It's a personal journey also for everybody. There's, like Susan said, we're problem solvers. If you have clients right now, there's obviously a lot of stress because they're trying to move or plan a move. They may be in the middle of an escrow. So the main thing with me always is, we've been talking about a lot of times, is just trying to stay calm. It's important that you stay calm, especially when you're talking to your clients, because they, people always say, we're therapists, and we really are. We're therapists without a license. So it's important for us to stay calm, give the best advice. And, what I try to do is just be in the moment and be in the day. Like Susan's saying, we are all seeing that we think we have one thing going in the morning, and then by dinner time or evening, something is different. So we just have to kind of roll with it. The good news is always, again, where's the light? I think there is a light. We have, probably 2 weeks. I don't know if it could go longer. We don't know. But the fact that we're on, sort of lockdown mode is to make sure that we don't have what other countries, are experiencing right now. So we can get back to normal, our normal lives and business, and, much faster, and hopefully with our numbers regarding what's going on with the coronavirus at a much lower level. So anyway, we wanted to have this call and everything to keep us, like Susan's saying, together. You may have ideas. We want to hear your ideas, and just let you know that we're here for you. One of the things too is, Tyler actually texted me last night, what do I do for showings? we still have people wanting to sell. We still have buyers wanting to buy. And to be honest, it's kind of an opportunity for those buyers because there's, you know, where there's so many multiple offers going on, you know, or there had been, maybe there won't be this week or next week. And you can reach out if there's a home or two that your client's really interested in, reach out to the listing agent, get them to help, get their sellers to help you. They can be doing FaceTime with your client, you know, seller and buyer. If you feel comfortable with it, your clients feel comfortable with it, or you could ask them to do a video, which you could pass on. You could write up a contract and basically lock in the buyer to the home with your contingencies starting once the ban is lifted. So it's kind of a win-win. You're reassuring the seller they're sold their home, and you're reassuring the buyer that they have a home that maybe they wouldn't have gotten, you know, last week because they were in the midst of, you know, competing and having to do all these crazy things to get a house. So just kind of try to be creative, or if you're stuck on something, just know we're here, and maybe we can be again creative together how to get through something. So that's, I think, what else, Susan, did I have on my list? I'm trying to think here.
Yeah. So before we get over to Tom,
Yeah.
I just want to add to exactly what you're saying is, and we're going to brainstorm some ideas here, but there's always opportunity. And if this sentence doesn't light a fire under you, I'm not sure what will, but whose name is going to be on the next contract, right? So right now is setting expectations with our clients. Like I'm telling everyone, and I'm telling you guys, I've talked to a lot of you guys, we got to have patience right now.
Yeah.
You got to be a little fluid. You got to prep your buyers and sellers for time changes. Like for instance, they can make an offer, push the time frame out until they can actually see it and do an inspection, right? There's ways to work around this, but there is opportunity. Our company started in March of 2009. For any of you that remembered, March of 2009, it was about the lowest of the low, at least in the last downswing. That's when we started. Between Tom, Amy, myself, Brandon, and you guys, I mean, look at the years of experience. So just draw on us and don't feel like you can't reach out when you get stuck. And Brandon and I were talking earlier, get on the FaceTime closed page. If you're not on it, it would be a really nice time to jump on it, and just communicate with all of us on what you need. We're all here for you.
Yes. The other thing too, just also, this is the time where normally we don't have time to watch like car videos, you know, all the training videos that are out there. If you're not understanding, you know, even you need a refresher course on the contract, or how to do zip forms better, or, you know, whatever it is, this is your time to, you know, practice your craft and get better at it, so that when we all do get back to normal, you're going to be a better version of yourself. So make a list every day, or make a list of things that you put off maybe because you thought you were too busy, and work on that list. And it doesn't even it doesn't have to be just, you know, work. It could also be personal things, so that you feel like you're doing something and you can check that off and feel good about it. So there's that. And then, oh my gosh, of course I get talking on that and I forgot.
Let's move to Tom and let Tom go through his.
Yep.
All right, we'll just do an audio check. Is audio check working?
Yep.
We can hear you, Tom. And also,
All right.
Simone, we'll get to your question after Tom is over as well. So.
I say good morning to everybody, and I wanted to let you all know that Amy, Susan, and I are all rooting for you, and we want everything to go as smoothly as possible. I have a couple of quick, really very brief opening comments. All of you on the call, you are all attached to the outcome of the income. And so my first suggestion to you is, number one, take a deep breath and evaluate where you are with your files. When I go into the back office for the company, I see how many escrows we have. And I know that each and every one of those escrows has its attendant problems and other typical situations that you're all working through. Well, today you have a unique opportunity, and I think you should just take a deep breath, evaluate where you are on each file that you're working on, because each one's going to be unique. Number two, if I could suggest, call your escrow officers. Ask them where they are in the process of trying to get files closed. I recently ran into I refinanced my daughter's house in the Richmond, Oakland area, and the county recorder is closed. So the documents that I had sent up there had to come back here, be funded, and what have you. So my suggestion is call your escrow officers on all your current files, ask them what they need from you and how you can facilitate whatever is needed to be done, because county recorder offices are closed. And probably the most important suggestion I can give you is for you to understand that unfortunately, more than 50% of the co-op agents that you work with are less than part-time, less than par, and are probably living in a world that is full of misinformation. That filters down to their buyers or to their sellers. I suggest that you get on the phone with every one of your escrow officers and every one of your co-op agents right now and figure out and take a leadership position. My gosh, we watch TV and all we're asking Trump to do is to show leadership. These are your files. Take leadership, get on the phone, figure out what needs to be done to get those transactions closed. So that's what I'd like to start with, and just keep a positive attitude. I went through, oh my God, when we were rationing gas, I was a brand new agent rationing gas, and I made money. I did 43 escrows when we were rationing gasoline. I've seen interest rates as high as 20. You figure out what needs to be done and you just go do it. So that's the purpose of this call today. So I'll turn it back over and let the ladies speak. And then when you need me again, I'll be talking about the new form.
Hey, Amy,
yeah,
I
one
just,
thing I was gonna, Susan, one thing I was just gonna piggyback on Tom, going back to patience and what he's saying too, is that it's really important if you, especially have something closing in the next 2 weeks or week, we don't know what is going to happen, not only just with the county recordings office, but also the funders title. So that's the other thing. Patience is so important, and like Tom said, also setting expectations, because you don't know, there could be things that close late, and be nice to escrow also. The escrow officers are working hard, and sometimes things are out of their control. So again, communication and everybody working together for a solution rather than pointing fingers. So, again, we are problem solvers. We're here to help on all sides so that everybody walks away, at the end where, that was a good transaction, even through, uncertain times. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
a couple of things also, since we're kind of talking logistically, whether it's yourself or your clients, everyone's going to feel comfortable doing certain things and not comfortable doing other things. Appraisers, inspectors, lenders, just kind of name it right now. Everyone's still trying to stay in business. I did talk to Sean Cahan at Cornerstone this morning. They're still ordering appraisals. Some appraisers are choosing not to work right now. So things will probably be a little bit backed up. Inspectors, I use SD Inspect. They're having a meeting today to try to figure it out. So, we all just, again, have to work with what we have.
And also some sellers even if you have inspectors that will, inspect, you may have a seller that says, I don't want anybody at our house. And you have to kind of respect that as well.
Yeah.
Also, a couple things.
So,
One,
so Tom, do you want to go through those forms?
Sure. Brandon, you ready for me?
sure.
Okay. Brandon will be putting up a form in just a moment. If you're not aware of the literally created this week document in your car forms, it's called the CVA, car form CVA. It's absolutely new to the market. I have to share with you, I saw the announcement. I went to the car website and I listened to an hour's webinar, which is part of my job. I need to be current on all disclosure requirements and changes so that I can share with all of you the way we see things. And so I am literally, maybe a page and a half ahead of most of you. So what I've done is I've read the form, I've seen the webinar, and then I start to think about, well, how can the application of this particular form make money? How can I use this technology as a mechanism to keep transactions in a holding pattern if I need to, let them out of the contract if I need to? What can I do with this form? So I've read the form about 5 times. And every time I was making notes saying, oh my gosh, on this last file, I could have done this. On my last file, I could have done that. When one of the agents called me, I could have suggested this or suggested that. So in the last 48 hours, we've had significant and dramatic changes in the way we're conducting our business. But because of technology and Brandon's commitment and Amy and Susan's commitment to technology and the support that you all can have if you want it, there are tools that will absolutely make you money. I learned technology and I learned just enough to make money. That's all I want to do with technology. The rest of it's fun. All right, so we're going to go to a new form. I'm going to be very brief about it because the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to direct you to your own car forms in your libraries within your documents from CAR. This is the new form. It's called Car Form CVA, Coronavirus Addendum or Amendment. If you look at the form, and when you get a chance to, there's really 4 paragraphs that I'm going to focus on, and I'm going to take just a moment on each one of them if I could. The first paragraph, and when would this be used? It can now be used virtually on every file that you have in front of you. In fact, I got a call from one of the agents today, and I said, look at the car form CVA and see if it applies to the file you have going on, and keep your transaction together. I'm going to back up 5 seconds and share with you again how incredibly important it is that you read this form, you internalize this form, you try to figure out a way to make it work for you, but knowing full well that the co-op agent that's out there probably hasn't seen it, probably doesn't care, is trying to be a bulldog to a seller and prove their worth and say, let's do a notice to perform when it's not appropriate to do that. I'm hearing all kinds of wild cases going on. None from our agents. It's all agents that are co-op putting the pressure on us. So how you react to that is going to, again, put you in charge of the outcome of the income. So in this particular form, you have to look at each case that you might personally be involved in. Are you close to a deadline where the loan documents, the loan contingency should be removed? Are you at a point where the physical inspection, like Amy said, the guy won't come out and do a physical inspection? Are you in a situation where the county recorder's closed? Are you in a situation where all of the vendors that you need to support you in your transaction can't perform? What are we going to do about it? So let's look at what is available to you and give you a homework assignment, which is to read this form, okay? The first thing that it gives you is an option under paragraph 1. And again, I'm just paraphrasing because you're all smart people and you can read the form on your own. But the first thought that I have is that it gives you up to a 30-day postponement agreement. So buyer and seller, you guys, you got to remember something. If there's a willing buyer and a willing seller, if you're a good agent, you're going to close transactions. If there's a willing buyer, willing seller, and a good agent like you, but a bad agent on the other side, you're going to have to also be an educator and bring people up to speed that are your co-op agents. Sorry. The first paragraph then talks about up to a 30-day extension. That allows, in this case, a buyer.
Did you see something just?
The buyer or seller, the time for them to work out the details they need to work out by agreement to extend the escrow up to 30 days. At the end of the 30 days, if
Okay.
either party
Okay.
feels that they can't close this transaction as agreed, it's already got a built-in document, excuse me, within that paragraph, there's an agreement that either party can bail out, cancel the escrow, money goes back, no notice to perform is required. Number
So
two,
basically,
here's the situation on number two. And if you read this after this workshop, you'll understand. You may have had a file where you've removed the loan contingency and you're just, and now the buyer's running naked, his deposit's at risk. And there may be a backup offer, I'm not sure. But if there is, and you have removed the loan contingency and there's an inability to fund, it says in here that the buyer can cancel the transaction and his money will be refunded in full, minus any costs that may have been incurred. Number three, you can have a mutual cancellation. Now you can use the CAR form, contract cancellation form, if you wish, which I learned from the seminar. Of course, you can use that form, but you can also use this form. And why would you want to use this form? Well, because it may have an application under number three. If someone reads through this, it really brings them up to speed about the coronavirus and why I need to cancel the transaction. And number four gives you a paragraph for other. It's time for you to look at your files, have a heart-to-heart with every one of your agents that you're working with, and figure out a way to make this come together using the concept that there's a willing buyer and a willing seller. So the new form gives you a lot of latitude and also gives you the opportunity to work things out in a timely manner and bring the parties together and get the closed transactions that you seek. I think if you'll just take the time to read paragraphs 1, 2, and 3 on your own, and soon you'll find out if there's an application for the file you're working on. So Brandon, that'll wrap up the form that I'm been asked to talk about. If you have any questions when it's a question and answer session, I'll stay on the line. Okay.
Okay, awesome.
I have a question.
Yes.
How do we handle that form with existing escrows, right? So, you know, versus opening a new escrow. What is the recommendation on, you know, if someone's already removed contingencies and the seller's like, and no one's signed that yet, and the buyer can't perform, the seller's still hoping to get that deposit back, coronavirus or no coronavirus. So how do you advise us to use that today?
That was
with an escrow open or
yeah,
in the future?
That was discussed in the webinar that I listened to. First and foremost, yes, the pre-existing contract is the guiding document. There's no question about that. And if an agent or a seller wants to do a notice to perform and I want to keep your deposit, that may very well be in place and can't be changed. My suggestion, again, is that you make the other agent understand what's going on. You know, you could say to someone, look, if you cancel me and you think you have a backup offer, I get it. But if you cancel me, you're going to have to use any and all reports that my buyers paid for. And you'll notice that there's some discrepancies in your property that need to be corrected. Why would you recommend to your seller, for example, to put this property back on the market? And who knows what's going to happen? This may get worse. If you stick with us, I have a willing buyer who wants to buy your property, who is committed to a move from Chicago. They just need to get here to close the file. They can't get here right now. There's nothing more I can say about that. So in my opinion, to go back and rewrite a new contract, I don't know that I'd do it. I think I'd look at this new coronavirus, if it applies, and figure out which paragraph you could use to keep your transaction together. Your biggest battle is the co-op agent. Your biggest battle is that co-op agent that has put in the mind of the seller that we're going to play hardball here and you're going to get that $50,000 deposit. I assure you, if this goes to mediation and nobody agrees, if there's a dispute in mediation, which as all of you know is non-binding, and then it goes to arbitration, I can assure you that the coronavirus is going to be used significantly as a defense for you not being able to keep my deposit. And I'm going to probably say, put myself out on a limb here, I think many consumers will win an arbitration in this current environment, which might very well get worse. So I would explain it back to the co-op agent appropriately.
We have a couple questions coming in from the chat box, if you guys may want to address them.
Sure.
And for some reason, I can't do chat, but can I ask him one more question?
Yeah.
So on new escrows, we should really be considering using this form then, correct? Moving forward.
You should absolutely be using this form because like Neil might do a VA or an FHA out in the La Mesa area or something. We're hearing stories where most of the governmental agencies internally are shutting down. And, you know, they can't really be nimble enough to work remotely. Let's face it, they're all people that work in a closed environment. So there will be delays and there will be unnecessary cancellations just because of fear. So I believe, yes, I would use the coronavirus amendment as part of my RPA. Of course, with the affiliated asking for our escrow, et cetera, I would make this part of my negotiations now. If you set it up correctly today, you're not going to have a problem in 21 days, in my opinion.
Okay, so some of the questions coming in may or may not address this form specifically, but number one, Simone had a question regarding, the homeowner wants the photographer to come out this Saturday and take pictures. Can she still get a photographer out there this Saturday?
That's between the photographer and the seller, of course. One thing that could be done is the seller could say, I'm going to wipe down all my surfaces and I'm going to leave the house so that there's no contact with my kids or anybody else. So it's really up to an individual if they want to do a vendor to come to the house.
And one thing Tyler suggested, and I think is a really great idea, is he said if you get a chance, have them take a video too, because right now video, I don't know what percentage of our listings do video, but it's probably a pretty small percentage. And I would say video is going to become more and more important at this time. So
I support that. I did notice that there were an awful lot of great photography. Then we did the video. Now it's less virtual tours and videos. I think that's great. And Brandon, maybe a suggestion for Brandon is to make sure that each agent that wants their own YouTube channel, that if somebody called me and said, hey, I want to look at your listing, you could, in a conversation, say, let me send you the link to my, and have the virtual tour be a YouTube product, and you could do it that way as well.
I have a couple ideas on working remotely. Amy, when we spoke earlier today, you brought up something awesome in that if a seller's not comfortable having someone come in, whether it's a showing, an inspector, an appraiser, we can do as much, we can ask the sellers, think about this, you guys, we can ask the sellers to FaceTime, Skype, video, take pictures for us. Mm-hmm. So I have a seller who's doing a walkthrough on FaceTime with the buyer for us. Great. Right? So we just have to think of different ways we can do this. If you can't get a photographer in there, I don't know, is it so bad that a seller takes pictures right now and sends it over? Obviously that's not the best, but what's second best, And so you just have to make those decisions with what people are comfortable doing or not doing.
Yeah, I agree. That's really great.
I think that goes back to what Ed is asking here too, Ed, with HOA management not being able to provide condo certs as they are not staffed. Is termite essential business? Honestly, no. I mean, it just depends on, again, everybody feeling comfortable. Although termite does have, because I recently had where a termite company came out and the seller on my property wanted everybody, this was on Monday before all this was going on, to wear masks, gloves, and booties. And termite, they do have those masks because they go into some pretty bad places. And so, and they have gloves and so forth. So, you know, again, it's what the, everybody feels comfortable with. And also, do they feel comfortable, you know, with the order to stay home, you know? So it's a personal thing, but you can explain the situation and, you know, again, grant contingencies to be, you know, extended while this is going on. And I really think most reasonable people are going to understand and allow it.
Yeah, agreed.
Yep. And April, going off of your question about how do we respect that remain or that order to stay home while remaining in business. Some other things, I mean, if you think a seller may be wanting to list possibly as we come out of this, you know, we can give you a digital listing presentation. We can set you up with a Zoom like this or a Skype or FaceTime. You can have a listing presentation from your home to their home. And you can start trying to set up agreements to prepare to list homes as we come out of this as well.
Good idea.
That wasn't quite my question. I think that I like your second best idea, Amy. I think that that was a really good suggestion, but still asking people to go outside their homes, knowing that those vendors might have to use masks or gloves that could be better utilized for the overburdened healthcare system.
Oh,
I'm ex-military. I'm sorry. I just go into battle mode maybe from prior experience. So I'm coming from a place of how are we respecting that governor's stay-at-home order? If we're saying, hey, are you comfortable with this? Or hey, maybe we could ask this person to go out or this person to go out. I agree.
Yeah. I agree. I absolutely agree. I mean, I'm not, you know, I wouldn't ask anybody to go out personally. You know, because we were told to all stay home. So, again, but everybody, so you can only manage and control your situation, what's going on with you. So if you have any transactions going on right now, like Tom says, be the leader in it and have a group call. You know, we're all in this together. With what has transpired last night, we have inspections due. Obviously, we are being told for everybody to stay home. So I'm asking that we have an extension for the allotted amount of time in our contingencies, you know, left today to be, to restart the day that we are told that the stay at home is lifted. So again, you can only control you and, you know, try not to judge others. But you can only control you. And I agree with what you're saying.
Another question, how do we handle handyman contractors prepping for a listing or handling requests for repairs?
You shouldn't be asking people to come and, you know, people should be staying home. You know, for prepping and, you know, people are gonna have to be patient and they're either gonna have to go on the market with maybe their house not as prepped as they thought. And, you know, again, you reevaluate and, you know, again, you could have made this plan with your seller 2 days ago. If you call them today and say, in light of what the governor has asked, we need plan B. I'm sure all of these you know, people are going to say you're right. I mean, I actually had somebody last night, they wanted a painter to go out to a property this morning. And that was before, you know, actually when my client's up in Seattle, so he didn't even realize. So I called him, explained what's going on. He's like, totally get it. No worries. We canceled. So, I mean, people,
right.
You have to be the one in control, right? You are the leader. So you need to be calm. This is the situation. Let's go to plan B. And I think that everybody, it's all about communication.
Mm-hmm. And if the buyer and seller still want to buy and sell, then you're extending timeframes somewhat indefinitely, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, if you've already got inspections done and you're negotiating, Tyler just did a shout out, which was great on, you know, send that report to a contractor or handyman to get, you know, pricing, right? But if you haven't gotten that far, you're going to have to extend timelines. you know, just everybody stay calm. Everyone's in the same boat. We've just got to work with our timelines. And
Yeah.
that's about all we can do on that.
Tom, question for you here. Is it regarding the form, is it negligible if we don't get big parties to sign this form before removing all contingencies on active files to sign this form?
Repeat that again, just so I make sure that.
Is it negligible if we don't get big parties? I sign this form before removing all contingencies on active files to sign this form.
Well, negligible. No, I don't think so. I think you need, in my opinion, whoever is asking the question, you need to look at your file. And I'll give you a quick case study. I just closed a condominium on 44th Street, which is an area that I personally don't want to drive through. I don't want to be there. And the building is full of 55 and older and mostly handicapped people. We had a negotiation and I said to the buyer, I had both sides, buyer and seller. And I finally said to the buyer, what you're asking for is reasonable, but we can't deliver it right now. What we can do is to create an agreement that says at the appropriate moment, we will have this vendor come and do these repairs or whatever. So we have an agreement there. But back to the question, I think you need to look at every file you have. You need to think it through, and you need to say, what hiccups might I experience? Oh my gosh, my buyers are about ready to go to escrow to sign loan docs. Oh, well, guess what? They can't go to escrow. They can't sign loan docs. And this may be upon you this morning. So look at every transaction, figure out what the hiccups could be, navigate your way in your scripts and dialogues, if you will, take a leadership position, and call the co-op, call the escrow officer and say, what can we do? So to answer the question is, for every file that you have right now, this new form may or may not be appropriate. I don't know. But you have to look at every situation you're working on and decide if I can implement this. To retroactively negotiate this in at the last moment, no. What you want to do is figure out, is it even applicable? If it's applicable, then make your appropriate phone calls, in most cases to the co-op agent, and explain to them, if you haven't seen this form, it's available. I can see a hiccup coming of non-deliverability, which could be a contractual violation. And I don't want that to occur because there's a willing buyer and a willing seller.
Tammy's question here. As the listing agent, I want to protect my seller, and I feel the buyer's agent is using the C virus as an excuse not to remove contingencies. How do we protect them? Again, you need to. This is uncharted. Nobody's ever gone through this, right? In our lifetime, and there's emotions on both sides. You have to put yourself on the other side too. So you want to protect your seller, but it is what it is. So the best advice, I think, is trying to be compassionate and try to make them feel comfortable and say, we understand, and keep it together. If you get nasty, you do a notice to perform, or, it's going to go sideways. So It could go sideways. Believe me, it could. I just had one go sideways after the buyer had removed all contingencies. So all you can do is the best job you can do to hopefully engage and keep it together. If it's going to fall out, it's going to fall out, and there's nothing you can do. But by fighting it, you're not you're not helping the situation. So that's, again, you work as a team. Does the buyer still want to do it? If you need extra time, because chances are you're not going to be putting it in escrow. You're not going to have showings in the next couple of weeks anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Use the word options.
Yeah.
It's like a stock market options. What are the options? That's why I'm urging each one of you to look at your files and figure out what your options are. What can I do? This is in front of us. It's never happened before. We're going to have a hiccup. I better manage to it, or I better decide if I'm going to stick my head in the sand. You are in charge of the outcome of your income. So leadership position, each one of you.
Tom, is there any retroactive use to this form? What if the escrow has already been canceled due to Corona?
Well, if it's already been canceled, then it sounds to me like the buyer is already going to get their money back and it's a fait accompli. It's a transaction that's not going to make. It's not a mechanism to enforce anything. Like Amy said so brilliantly, it's a form that can be used to navigate our way through a difficult and challenging time. That's all that it's for, but it gives you options. So be on the forefront of thinking through your options.
Here's another one. I have a seller who wants me to put his home on the market second week of April. I want to get a virtual tour company out there before that. This is a high-end listing. It's a celebrity seller. I want to be a professional and respectful with his wishes. I need a recommendation for a reputable company for film and virtual. Hey, Lizette, I'll reach out to you privately for that one.
Okay.
And Lisette, can I just say something? Because I know you and I have spoken about this, or anyone else who's got listings coming up. It may need to be delayed, or, you may need to think out of the box a little bit, because if we aren't supposed to be out there and we're not supposed to have photographers there and we can't really do showings, there may need to be a delay on it. So kind of think through what's best, how many people are going to be able to really see it and how are you going to show it. Now, as we get into this a little more, especially the next few days, we may come up with new ideas on that. But there may need to be some definite patience. Oh my gosh. Amy Green, you always told me you got to have patience and a sense of humor. And gosh, that's hard right now, but we all have to, and I've been telling my clients those words. We need patience and a little sense of humor. We all got to work together. But on that one, there may need to be some delay, which I know we don't want, but you'll have to make that call, that decision.
What about new home sales? Do you think a company will let my buyer cancel with this form? The buyer already has removed contingencies, including the loan.
I think you have a better chance with new home, personally.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
So I did talk to Dee yesterday over at Toll Brothers. They're still building. It hasn't really stopped over there. It's sort of interesting. So it probably depends on who the builder is and how far along and all that kind of thing. But they're keeping distance and they're still building. So
what do you guys want to do as these questions come in? Do we want to go through them all, or do you want me to gather them and then we'll send out an email to each person with answering their questions?
Fine. I think, again, Jeannie's question here, if you use the form, but you're still under contract. So they're not going to go back into active status or contingent status just because you have used this form. It's the seller's basically giving, allowing extra time or, whatever box you choose. So you're still under contract.
I think the local MLS rules would say if it's pending, and all you're doing here is you're doing an amendment to a current pending situation, you're extending the time, or you're using the modification form. It's no different than an amendment based on a home inspection or an amendment based on anything. If the property is pending, it needs to stay in pending. I don't think it's appropriate for a seller to think they should put their home back on as an active thing after they've agreed to the CVA. That's not the intention of the CVA.
I have a couple texts coming in.
Let's do this.
From people that aren't able to add to the chat.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, so on the new form, it seems like the seller could bail out at the very end because they lose their job or they think they'll get a better offer once everything is back to normal. If we have a buyer who has to move when escrow closes, should we opt to not use the form to protect them and just plan on using an extension of escrow if needed due to delays?
Yes, I think there will be people that will use the CVA form or attempt to use the CVA form, whether buyer or seller, to operate in knee-jerk, I won't use the term bad faith, But there will be sellers, if this form is invoked, there will be sellers that at the end of 30 days that will say, I'm out, I'm not selling you my home. And there will be situations potentially where the moving van is getting ready to show up and the buyer can't get in. That may very well occur, but you know what? Normally you're going to know anywhere from 25 to 30 days out as to whether or not that moving van may show up.
Well,
But this form does allow for a cancellation for either party.
you know what, Tom? That's
Yeah.
a great point. So let me just tell you, so one of my clients has been on the phone with the moving company. So a couple things, if they're coming from like the major moving companies, they may not be able to move you across state lines. So that's number one. I know is happening. And then also even local movers, they are day by day as well. So it could definitely, like the seller might need to be out and you close and the seller may not, like it could happen that the day before the movers are saying we can't move you. So again, you have to, you know, educate your clients. We don't know, and there could be things that have never happened before. You have to be prepared and be kind, you know, because it's not you know, the seller's fault or, you know, the buyer's fault.
So here's another
Can we,
one.
Brandon?
Yeah.
Yeah, can we wrap up a little bit on this addendum? And I'd love to move the conversation forward with how we think about how do we get more business? How do we stay in touch right now? So if we could kind of wrap up the coronavirus addendum with a last question, maybe.
Okay, yeah, right here. So assume this agent's saying probably will always use the addendum for representing a buyer. Otherwise, you may be responsible for the loss of their deposit. But their main question is if they elect to do new construction and they don't accompany the client on the first visit, will the new construction builder cut them out of the deal?
You know,
that's a question Amy and Susan can answer.
Yeah, having been, I'm in escrow on new construction now, it depends on who it is, you know. Most of them, if you call, you know, and let us know, because Amy and I know a lot of those people. And so sometimes we can call and say, hey, we need some help with this. Not sure about, so it might kind of be a moot point, but you're welcome to contact Amy or I on that. Yeah. So.
Okay. And this same agent's responding to me as you're going live and just really is asking for one last follow-up to this question. So sounds like we should ask our buyer client if they want to use this form. Don't just, you know, since sellers could use it possibly to bail, we always want to bring it up to the buyer, like the pros and cons of using this form and let them kind of decide.
Correct. But, you know, listen, if you use the form and it already has in there a 30-day, the form on paragraph number 1 is only supposed to be used for current escrows. So I would say for the ones that you've got going on, excuse me, I'm going to back up. The new files, this form can absolutely be used. But if you have a discussion with the various parties and you know, like Amy said so well, wait a minute, what if the moving van can't cross the state lines? What if the day workers can't load the van? What am I going to do? You've got to be thinking this through all the way through. You've got to have a checklist that takes you from negotiation to the move out. And you've got to figure out, like I keep saying, where are the hiccups? Where could this go wrong? What am I not thinking through here? What am I not doing? You have to go all the way through that and then decide what forms, whether it's the RPA, the typical RPA, or the new CVA form, which one's going to work best for you. So.
Great. I've copied everybody else's questions. We'll work on getting you guys individual responses to those. Tom, did you also want to mention the new affiliate form?
Yeah, I do. If you could go ahead and put that up, that'd be great. So the people listening on the webinar, there's been a an adjustment to the affiliated document. I kept looking at it, and Amy and Susan kept looking at it. And we said, how can we make this more streamlined? So the whole team got together and evaluated the other brokerages, see how they do things. The new affiliated document is going to be dated and effective April 1st. Any escrow that you currently have with Coastal First Escrow, we will Amy and Susan jump in on this. We will honor whichever one of the two is to the betterment of the buyer. There is a real simple formula as to how the escrow fees will be calculated. It's much simpler now. It's very straightforward, no confusion. We would implement it with new files effective 1 April. If there's an overlap between now and April, I believe, when I talked to Kathy, we would use the new form if it's to the benefit of the buyer. We will not close escrows to the detriment of a client. Amy and Susan, is that correct? Do I have that right?
Yes.
Okay, so this new form is going to be given, is now in the possession of Brandon. Brandon's going to send it to the TCs. We're going to send it to you. It's going to be dated and effective April 1st. It's much simpler and much more straight lined. While I have you all on the phone, so to speak, I urge you to please understand that when you write an offer and we want you to put the affiliated document as an attachment to your RPA. We don't want to get an escrow and then have somebody say you didn't disclose. It has to be on the RPA. Use Coastal First Escrow. That's always a request that we make of you. And that it is an attachment to your document day one. We don't want to chase buyers for signatures on the 10th day of an escrow. Okay.
On larger escrow amounts, larger sales prices, Amy, and I'm kind of talking to you, there is some flexibility if you happen to sell a $5 or $10 million house, I believe. So you just need to contact us if it's a bigger one, which would be great if everybody did one.
Yeah.
So, you know, I was thinking last night, you know, just about everybody, and, you know, most of my clients have become friends. A lot of them have had kids that are a semester abroad. They have, you know, parents that are elderly that they can't see, you know, they can't get into where they are. And, you know, we're all trying to get food for those who can't. I really think it's a great time to touch bases on a non-real estate issue. If you don't have a deal with someone right now, and just see how everyone is. You know, I'm more than happy to brainstorm ways to help people if they get stuck on things. If you have clients that need help, a great time. People know you care and not necessarily talk real estate, because, you know,
Well, the other thing you can do too, if there's things going on in the community, like I know they were talking that the blood banks really need blood. So, I mean, if there's something you're aware of, you can, you know, reach out to everybody and just saying, this is, you know, something I wanted to put out there. You can help locally if you'd like, and here's the link. So, you know, so just something like that, showing you care and, you know, you're giving, you know, so that could be a good way of, you know, sort of reaching out and staying in touch.
I'm sure you guys all heard that on Monday I'm having a class. I'm working on gathering. I've got quite a few different people that work in various industries. They're all working in marketing as their full-time jobs. And we're just going to have like a kind of open debate or roundtable on proper strategies and messaging and how to approach this situation. So I invite you all to join that, because we can come up with a lot of ideas. There's no one right or wrong way, but we'll figure out some ways that work for you guys. One thing is, we are being very careful right now on promoting the real estate business to the public in any way, because like we said, it just may seem too insensitive and different things. But as far as if you have properties on the market right now, we're certainly still interested in letting all the agent community amongst all the San Diego County agents know about that internally. So we'll talk about it Monday. So please do join in on that.
And Wednesday, I'm doing my, it's chapter 4 basically for my AID appreciation intention delegation, which is all about mindset. And, I think now more than ever too, it's just good to, be together, and just any little things you can get from that maybe can help you during your day, or you can help somebody else. So anyway, hopefully you'll join me. It's going to be on Zoom also, and Brandon, I'll send the link for that.
And I plan to bring back the book club. I think it's a great time for us to all be working on new ideas and communicating together. We can do our meeting via Zoom. We have not chosen a book yet, so that information will be going out next week. And I hope that many of you will join us. We can eat lunch together via Zoom while we do book club. So can't go to Flower Child right now, but we'll be doing that as well. So it's easy. I don't pick hard books. I try to find things interesting. If anyone has any ideas, just text me if you got anything good. So we'll be starting that as well.
And here's something as well. Jim wants everybody to know that if you have an escrow closing, he's still processing commission. So don't worry about that. Your checks will be coming out.
All right. Well, are we good? Thank you
Yep.
so much to everyone. We're here for you as needed, anytime. And we'll continue doing these Zoom meetings as needed as well, and keeping you updated. We're all here. Everyone's working remote, so we're all in this together. Be safe, and do something fun today for yourself too.
Okay.
Well,
Thank you.
bye.
All right, see you all.
Bye. Okay.